I made it back to Neal Stephenson. In 2022, I read Reamde by Neal Stephenson. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I wrote this about it. I am generally a slow reader, so I rarely take on books at the size of Neal Stephenson's. In fact, I've had to put them down in the past because of how daunting they are for me. You can check out my review on my try for Quicksilver a couple of years before this. I got into Reamde because when I read about the aspect of the role-playing game, it felt so much up my alley that it would hold my attention and interest throughout. In a novel like this, though, an aspect like that becomes a small part of the whole ensemble. There were many single aspects of this book that excited me, but Stephenson is so prolific here that the collection of different aspects covered in the book makes it feel like a complex funhouse of converging dramas. I can imagine that many people like that. I can imagine seeing this book as a modern epic, going into extreme detail about colorful characters and their stories of familial and cultural peculiarities, game design, hacking, terrorism, organized crime, and geopolitical intrigue, just to get started on the list. It was tough for me. I got tired. I'm not captivated by all of those things, and so much of it became work. I feel proud of the fact that I was able to complete this one, and I believe wholeheartedly that lots of readers will enjoy these 1,000 pages as pulpy and wild. For me, it was like choosing an exquisitely described item on a menu for a single ingredient that I enjoy, ignoring the fact that all those other flavors would be represented in similar measure. I'm impressed by Stephenson devotees, but I'm unlikely to try another bite. In a literal sense, this is a great book. When I finished it, I left it behind in a Central European country so that I could lighten my load. So the last part about that, I was traveling in Germany, and it was great to read such a long book for the cross-country travel. On that particular day, I had taken a train from Germany to Austria to visit the small lakeside town of my ancestry. And I finished it on the train. So I went grocery shopping in Austria, and it was this thick 1,000-page book that was with me, and so I left it there. The title, Reamde, is interesting, and it's Reamde. Reamde is meant to be like a README file in an application, but someone typed it wrong, and so it comes out as Reamde. It reminds me of, in gaming, people talking about pwning people, PWNing people, instead of owning people, in a sort of sarcastic, mean way. I think we used to call things like this leet speak, L-E-E-T, where you're specifically misspelling things, maybe adding numbers, communicating in a way that is interesting and clear to people who are in the tech world. All of those things that I mentioned in this book, all of those things on the list are definitely here, and it is a wild ride. It was a super interesting story and really gets the sense that it could make for an amazing series or an amazing movie that people would really dig into right now. I really needed to read it as sort of a promise to myself or an achievement for myself to get through a Neal Stephenson book after I put down Quicksilver. It's a good book. It's just too much for me. And there are certain readers that love these kinds of things, and I totally encourage them to pick up Neal Stephenson, especially if any of those things in that list are interesting to you in terms of fictional stories. He's amazing. He writes a lot of interesting things and twists and turns for characters that are explored fully in these pages. It does feel like that's all for the purpose of this story, but it takes you all over the world and puts you in all different kinds of situations with all those things I mentioned in role-playing games, hacking, terrorism, organized crime. It is wild, and it is geopolitical intrigue. In a weird way, if you like a spy novel or something like that, you might like this one too. So this is my last attempt at Neal Stephenson. I'm very proud that I finished it, and I'm very proud that I can say that I have finished one of his books. I have a lot of admiration for people that really like Neal Stephenson. The fact that you are getting through all of these stories and everything they bring to you is a massive achievement. Very prolific, very intense, very long books with massive complex stories. I read Reamde by Neal Stephenson in 2022. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Till next.